I'm going to introduce our speaker tonight, MaryAnn deVries, who's a neighbor of ours and a good friend. She's been coming with her husband Tom, the big fisherman, who's hiding in the corner back there, but wonderful couple. Been coming down for 25 years. At one time, they flew their Cessna 150 down to get here, so they've been coming many different ways, and they've had a lot of great meals and know a lot about them. MaryAnn's background is more in the agriculture with major education in that, but we thought that the food part of it would be more interesting, and that's what she's going to focus on this afternoon. So, MaryAnn deVries, we welcome you.
We'll change of plans here. Thank you. Nice to see all of you here. Thank you for coming. My husband Tom and I first came to Mexico in 1981. He drove from Des Moines, Iowa, where we live in Iowa, down the coast in an old yellow station wagon. They picked me up in Cancun, and we went on down. We drove all the way down to Belize, where the old station wagon got left and became a taxi cab. After that, we got kind of hooked on Mexico. We came down, took a bus, we rented cars, we drove down. One time Tom drove down in our old Peugeot diesel to see how far he could get before it quit. And he got all the way to San Jose, Costa Rica, when they gave the car to a family down there in exchange for driving them to the airport. Like Ken said, we came one year and we flew down the Gulf Coast and promptly got arrested the first night we landed, the first place we landed, but that's another story. We've come on motorcycles, and we've consistently met wonderful, wonderful people. 25 years ago, we rolled down the hill from the old highway from Guadalajara, and we came into El Dorado, and we looked out at this beautiful bay, and we thought, oh my gosh, this is where we need to be. So we built a house, we built a little lot, and we have a small house on the street with other Mexican families, and we love them like it. So we're still here, but now we're old, I don't know. So Alex needed a program for tonight, or Ken and Mark. Also, Ken and Mark and Norm make these programs happen. They put in so much time in organizing and finding speakers. Can we clap for them? Thank you. Very unselfish. Alex, my background's in horticulture, actually. I worked for Iowa State University, and Alex asked me if I could do a plant topic. I don't know anything about Mexican plants, truly. I know nothing. But next week, we've lined up Tommy Clarkson, who has that beautiful display garden down in Manzanillo, Hola Brisas, and he's going to come. He's bringing his books. He's written books. He's giving plants away. So that's one you don't want to miss. Okay, so Norm, we're gonna. Okay, thank you. Last week, Dan, who was here, presenter, he kind of talked about Spanish is easy, right? Nah, not quite. I still baby talk Spanish, but you learn certain lessons, that's for sure, but Spanish isn't easy. The word for peas in Spanish is chicharros, right? Pretty straightforward word. This one's from the Bodega, the Great Values brand, in case you otherwise don't know, is Walmart. They run Walmart. But let's just say you get it wrong and you leave off the ROS, and it becomes chicha, which, okay, this is Norm. Oh, other way. Okay, so it's an alcoholic drink. You can buy it in any convenience store. Chicha. Okay, let's just say you screw it up a little bit, and you accidentally, instead of saying A, you say I, and you get chichis. The Mexican word for chichis. Okay, so, you have to be precise. You have to have a good vocabulary. So let's talk about some foods. I'm not a gourmet. We have a gourmet in our midst. Steve Cotton, he's an attorney that belongs to this church, lives here year-round. He He knows everything about food. And I don't pretend to know anything. It's just you pick up a few things after all these years, and that's kind of what I'm going to share with you. But a lot of you have been here for a long time too, and we're leaving time at the end. I want you to share something. So let's think of this as more like a group discussion instead of me just talking. Anyway, some interesting things to know. This is a hibiscus flower. Anybody know what you get from hibiscus flowers? Jamaica, that's right. Norm? Specifically, it's a different variety or species, Roselle hibiscus, and you use it just like tea. Norm? You take the petals, you steep them in hot water, and then you strain them, and you can make hibiscus Jamaica. And most recently, back up. Again, the bodega is now carrying Jamaica just in these bags, little bags. You pick them up and cut them off, and you make Jamaica in your own house. Okay, Jamaica belongs to a larger category of beverages called agua fresca, right? Fresh water. And when you go to any restaurant, you can order agua fresca instead of having a soft drink, which I don't know about healthfulness. My personal favorite is melon, which is a cantaloupe, okay? Norm? And piña. Piña is also seen a lot. Piña agua fresca. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this pineapple? It's not ripe, is it? Now here's something worth knowing. Pineapples do not ripen once they've been picked. They'll get softer, but they don't get sweeter once they're picked from the plant that they grow on. So what you want to see in a pineapple is a nice deep yellow kind of copper color. You want to see that when you buy them in the grocery store. Don't go with a green one. Other flavors, tamarindo, that's a seed that comes from the trees down here. They boil the seed. Nanharana, they take perfectly good orange juice, put water and sugar in it and ice, and they make agua fresca out of orange juice. Norm, keep going. Guava, you know those little cream-colored things? Mango is often seen when mangoes are in season. Agua fresca mango. Papaya. Fresa, which is strawberry, but I think you more often see strawberries as licuardos. And licuardo is like a smoothie, and it has milk in it. So if you're looking for something refreshing, strawberry licuardos are good. And finally, horchata, that's made, you soak rice overnight, and then you put it in a blender and put it with ice, sugar, and you make horchata agua fresca, very common, also has cinnamon in it. And then limon, of course, which is limonada. And a problem for a lot of us with limonada is it's just too sweet. I don't know if you've ever seen them make it, but they put the lime juice in and then the ice and then fill it up with water, and then they put like 3 heaping scoops of sugar. Well, you can ask them in a nice way, por favor, limonadas con poquito menos azúcar, with a little less sugar, please. And they will do it. Of course, you run the risk that instead of a little less, they put none in, and you get something so sour you can't drink it. But you can always add sugar, you know. So, poquito menos azúcar, por favor. So don't be afraid to ask for a little less sugar. Okay. Anybody recognize this? People here actually eat it. Aha! Corn smut. Corn smut grows on the native corn plants or local corn plants. The Aztec word is, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's described on a lot of websites as gunky, tar-like mush, and it's revered by gourmet chefs. So I guess if we ever get a chance, we should sample it, but here's hoping you don't bump into it, I don't know. All right, next Norm. How about this? Beef flips. Beef flips are actually eaten by Mexicans. One place you can get them found on the menu, is at the El Colonial restaurant, which is in the town of La Huerta. La Huerta is straight north out of here. You go past the army base, and the road takes you up into the mountains. They're not really high, scary mountains, gentle mountains. It's about a 30-minute drive, and you get to the town of La Huerta. La Huerta means orchard. And La Huerta sits at the edge of the most enormous, beautiful valley you will ever see in your whole life. And they grow all kinds of agricultural crops up there. Sugar cane, irrigated corn, of course your chilies and all of that. There's also a natural hot springs up there that has a swimming pool. The hot water comes out of the rocks and warms the swimming pool. The problem is that you have to share the swimming pool with the geese that happen to live there with you. So not quite the image that you're thinking of when you think, natural hot springs. Tom checked for me, and he found out that a taxi driver will take you up there for 1,200 pesos round trip. And some of the bigger taxis will hold, 5 people, 6 people. And I think if you buy the taxi driver's lunch, he would be very happy to take you to El Colonial restaurant. I couldn't find a picture of the outside of the restaurant, but this is how it looks. This is the little town square in La Huerta. It's just a small town, beautiful, 30 miles straight up the highway. And inside, it's very traditional, has these high ceilings that used to be their only real protection in hot weather. The hot air goes up and the high ceiling keeps the place cooler. The problem with this restaurant is the menu is only in Spanish. They have traditional. They have hamburgers, enchiladas, tacos, things like that. But they'll also have things like beef lips on the menu, and it's good to take a translator or else get a taxi driver that speaks Spanish and they can tell you what this stuff is that's on the menu. But it's a lovely restaurant, and it's a good opportunity to get some very traditional Mexican food. Okay, Norm, let's go. Let's talk tortillas. Now this may be something you already know all about, but for those of you who don't, what's the question when you sit down and you order? What does the waitress say to you? What kind of tortilla do you want? Well, what are your choices? Corn or flour, right? That's pretty much what it comes down to. Well, corn tortilla is made out of something called masa, which people think of as cornmeal, the same in the United States, but it's different. Masa has a unique flavor. They wash the corn kernels with lye, and that removes the hard outer hull, and then they dry them and they grind the corn then into cornmeal. But it tastes different than the cornmeal that we have up north in the United States and Canada. It has a unique flavor. This, back up. Maseca is a brand name, and you'll see it in most every grocery store. I don't know, they seem to have a monopoly on the market. I want to see what I'm forgetting here, just a minute. Masa dough, then the cornmeal is made with water and creates a soft ball of dough, and you still see them pressing it in tortilla presses. Used to be, especially up in the mountains, you would see the sound of women's hands tapping together, making the tortillas was so basic element of Mexico, but you don't really see it much anymore. Okay, some facts about corn. Now, my husband is a corn grower. We farm in Iowa. I probably find this more interesting than most people. But first of all, are there any other corn growers? You know what's wrong with this picture? When corn is ripe and ready to pick, the ears hang down. They don't stand up like little soldiers, so somebody created this photo of these ears of corn standing up like soldiers. 97% of the corn in Mexico is imported from the United States. Yeah, 97%, that's a lot, isn't it? The rest is grown mostly in small plots, or maybe like up in the La Huerta Valley where you see a couple hundred acres grown. But in 2020, the Mexican president, Lopez Obrador, decided that Mexico wouldn't import any more genetically modified corn, which is what mostly the United States grows. Well, there's a little thing called the North American Free Trade Agreement that requires that there be no limits. The borders have to be open between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. And as you can imagine, the corn growers in the United States said, I know, you're not going to restrict imports of corn into Mexico. That's what we do. So the other thing that was to be phased out in 2024 was glyphosate. If you know, that's the product Roundup, the weed killer. And I haven't heard how that went. But in 2020, they decided to get rid of GMO corn. Well, in 2023, then, the president decided, well, we'll just limit it, no genetically modified corn for human consumption. And as far as I know, that's what stands today. I don't know if they started to enforce it or not, but genetically modified corn is still okay for livestock use. Here's the deal about genetically modified corn. Corn has been grown in Mexico for 7,000 years. Yeah, 7,000 years. It is native to Mexico. And the problem with genetically modified types of corn is they tend to contaminate these native varieties, and that's a bad thing. Pretty soon you won't have any pristine native varieties anymore. But what's good about genetically modified corn? First of all, there are some corn genes actually kill insects. And like there's a BT corn, if you have corn rootworm, and the rootworm bites that corn plant, it kills them. So it raises the productivity. It saves the farmer money because he doesn't have to spray the corn for rootworm. It reduces chemicals that go out into the environment, right? That's a good thing, except you have this issue with, native strains. What if they injected a gene into the corn that protected children from disease? Would we feel different about it? Well, they kind of do. They have corn that has very high lysine and other nutrients that are important to children in Africa where they suffer from nutrient deficiencies. The other bad thing about genetically modified corn is that they put a terminate gene in it, so that the little farmer in Mexico that pays his good money, he plants the genetically modified corn, which can be, very drought resistant. It's bred for hot weather. It's a good variety of corn, but the corn companies put a terminator gene in there, so that corn can only be grown 1 year. And if the farmer tries to take those kernels that he grew and replant them the next year, that corn doesn't have that resistance to drought or that resistance to heat that the original variety did. So they have a terminator gene. A lot of countries in Africa are saying absolutely no genetically modified organisms. Let's go back to masa. Masa dough. Something else? No other way, Norm. Okay. Have you seen these machines, tortillerias, sell tacos? Tortillas out of there by, how many do you think they make in a day? 1,000? I don't know. But here's something I think is interesting about the name of this place, is when you see E-R-I-A on the end of something, Iria, that tells you that it's a shop that sells whatever's in front of it. So Iria with tortilleria means a place that sells tortillas. So panderia, pan is bread, right? Panderia, E-R-I-A, that's a shop that sells bread. So whatever you see, E-R-I-A, that will tell you that the store sells whatever's right in front of it. Carne is meat, carniceria is a meat store. So I think that's interesting. In 1999, up until 1999, the government subsidized the tortillas. And then in the year 2000, the government shut the subsidy off, and now I guess we're just all on our own paying for the tortillas. Okay, but those machines are kind of fierce looking. They're all over town. All right, Norm. What's the other kind of flour? Tortilla, right? And it's made from wheat flour. So what we're seeing here is harina, flour de trigo. Trigo is the word for wheat. And they think that wheat flour was introduced to Mexico in about the 1500s, that either it came over with Jesuit priests, Jesuits from Spain, or there was a colony of Jews that came over and settled in northern Mexico. They came from Europe and they brought wheat seeds with them because they felt the corn wasn't kosher. So they started growing wheat up north. Flour tacos are wheat flour is enriched, so we might think of it as healthier, right, than just cornmeal. The problem is flour tortillas are made with lard, and they're really good, but not necessarily healthier. The other thing about Mexican wheat flour is it's made by a process called hard milling. Norm, you can go on. So if you're thinking about making your neighbors a birthday cake or some cupcakes or something, and you decide to use Mexican flour, it just doesn't work. The hard milling crushes the wheat kernels so hard that it pulverizes it to the point that Mexican flour is kind of like talcum powder. And the effect of that is that when water is added, that flour really takes up a lot of water. And you can bake that cake, you can do whatever you want to, and the edges will get done, but the middle will still be real moist and heavy and not what we think of as a good birthday cake or cupcake in the United States. Now, there are flours. Have you had that experience? Yeah, it just doesn't make a good product. Hawaii sells gold medal flour, and down at La Comer, the big box store, fancy box store in Manzanillo, they sell Bob's Red Mill flour. Those are great brands up north. They sell for $15 per 5-pound bag. So maybe it's just better to buy your neighbors some, tres leche cake at the local bakery. Interesting that tortillas get thicker as you go south. In Guatemala, they're more like a fluffy pancake. By the time you get to El Salvador, they have things called pupusa, which is a tortilla with a filling in the center, and they stuff it and then they fry it. So, one more thing. Okay, Norm? One more thing. Masa dough makes tortillas. Okay, one more punch. Bread, wheat flour makes bread. And also a drink called atole, which is like a thin porridge. It's made from masa, cornmeal, and is traditionally has been drunk at Day of the Dead time and the holidays. But it's thin. You said the cornmeal with flour and heated, and cinnamon, of course. And it's very traditional. But Norm, guess what? Walmart doesn't miss a trick, do they? You want some atole? They got a bag of instant atole for you. Flavored with what? Sabor means flavor, vainilla, vanilla flavored. Okay, what comes next? Let's go back to corn. This is something called elote, right? Elote is just corn on the cob, and they put a stick in it, they cook it, they put a stick in it, and then they put butter, sour cream, this dried cheese, I don't know how you say it, cotija? Who knows how to pronounce it? It's a dried cheese, and you eat it off the stick. It looks delicious, doesn't it? Problem is they don't have like sweet corn down here like we do up north. This is kind of field corn, and it's dry, it's starchy, and it's typically very disappointing when you bite into it. But as they say in Mexico, mejor que nada, mejor, better que than what? Nothing. Mejor que nada, better than nothing. So if you're hungry for corn on the cob, you can go with this. Or, Norm? Elote en vaso. This is elote, the corn, the cooked corn. They put it in a cup so that, especially if you have mustaches and beards, you don't have to mess with eating it off the cob. It's the same corn. Oop, back please. But what else is on the top of this cup? Chili powder, right? I can't eat hot stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot take any kind of pica. We call it picante pica. But what you can do is ask them not to put it on there. And how do you do that? Norm? Okay. The word for without is not sinful, it's not sin, it's pronounced sin, S-I-N, sin. That means without. And here we're looking at some olives, and sin huesos, huesos actually means bone, but here they're referring to the pit in the olive. The one on the left has sin huesos, without. So you can ask that lady that's scooping up the elote en vaso. Next slide. The elote sin chili, por favor. You don't have to just have her hand it to you. She wants to make it. Again, say por favor, be polite. Elote sin chili, por favor. And I have to say that all the time because I just can't do spicy stuff. I know a lot of you, Tom, just inhales it. Doesn't bother him a bit. Okay, oh good, they're still working next door. Let's talk limes. These are limes, also called limas. We call them a bartender's friend. I mean, there's hardly a drink that you don't see limes down here being used. They're predominantly, limes here I think are from the state of Colima, our next door state. Colima is the fourth smallest of the Mexican states, but it's the fourth largest producer of limes. So, all right, next. We also have something called Spanish limes, or mamoncillos, and Hawaii carries this. These look like great big limes, right? But they're not. They are not limes. They are like a lime crossed with the flavor of a lychee. They're lychee nut, lychee, you know, and they're very meaty. You see the one on the lower right there? That's kind of what it's like if you take the rind off. And one time we were having a little family over and they had a lot of kids and I thought, well, I'm going to make limonada for the dinner party for them. We're having pizza. So I see these and I buy them and I think, oh, that's a great idea. I won't have to squeeze so many limes because I'll buy these great big ones. There's no juice in these, you know. They just ended up, well, I think we ate them or gave them away, but you're not going to get juice out of these. Okay, Norm. Another look-alike that we don't necessarily know, this is pomelo, and it's actually more yellow than this picture show. It looks like a grapefruit. They're grown over on the Gulf Coast side of Mexico, and they're really delicious. They're a little bit sweeter than grapefruit, and we see them here occasionally, but more like at the tianguis or the box stores. Hawaii doesn't carry them. I don't know if Chili's carries them or not. Okay, next picture. This is good old jackfruit, or also called yucca. Yucca. Can be an enormous fruit, weighing up to 80 pounds, 36 kilograms. And inside are these yellow seed pods that have a flavor that's hard to describe. It's very subtle. They are, some described a combination of banana, apple, mango, but these seed pods are in the center of this plant, and they have to be taken out. You cut it open and then you remove them, but the sap from this plant can be a little bit hard on your skin, so you need to oil your hands, or gloves before you take these seed pods out, and then you take the seed out of the center. You can find these in the market. A woman sells them there. They're plastic bags, and you can just buy jackfruit already all fixed for you, so you don't have to buy the 80 pounds of bowling ball there. Okay, let's move on. But you buy them at the tianguis. I thought I would never learn this word. It used to be dengue, it used to be tiendes. I somehow couldn't get this word. Tianguis is the word for the market that we go to here on Wednesdays. Tianguis is an old pre-colonial word, pre-Spanish Indian name. It's here in Milwaukee on Wednesdays. Thursdays it goes to Barra. Friday it goes to La Manzanilla. But you can get, usually a little later in the season, you can get jackfruit already cut, already prepared for you in the tianguis market. Okay, Norm, what next? Why are there so many limes? Well, because first of all, they're plentiful. Anybody can have a lime tree in their yard and get limes. Second, they're cheap. As a result of being plentiful, they're also cheap. They are flavorful. I mean, you can squirt lime juice on anything. Really brings out the flavor. A lot of pico de gallo has a lot of lime juice in it. But they're full of vitamins, very helpful for us. The other thing is that they're antibacterial, and because of the fact that they're high in acid. And one way we can protect ourselves from food poisoning down here is to make sure we keep a high acid level in our stomach. And using limes, every time you eat, you notice Mexicans, they put lime juice on everything they eat, because the juice is acidic and it keeps your stomach in a good state of acid. Another thing you can do is not guzzle a whole bunch of water when you eat. You know, keep the fluids available, but don't dilute your stomach acids. And I can't remember what else was I gonna say. Wash your hands, for heaven's sake. You notice how a lot of restaurants down here have little sinks over in the corner? Take advantage of those. One way you can protect yourself from food poisoning is to just wash your hands, you know. That's a simple measure. Avoid buffet lines. Anytime you see a buffet, you can be assured that that food that's being held on that buffet table, if it has any kind of sauce around it, it's being held at a perfect incubation temperature to incubate the bacteria that might have contaminated that sauce. The final thing is, please do not drink raw milk. Don't think it's fun to take your company up to those cows and treat them to milk the cow and drink from them. That is very dangerous. You know, salmonella you can get over, but E. coli, I mean E. coli will kill you or end up taking your feet or your kidneys or something. And the other thing is listeria bacteria. We had a big outbreak of listeria in the United States last year. It killed about 100 people. And it came from deli meat. Deli meat that somehow the listeria bacteria got in there. It's very fatal. So there is no quality control. There's no hygiene control. I mean, do they even wipe the udders off of those cows before you milk them? I don't know. Just please don't go there. Okay, one more thing. That comes from Colima, salt. You see these bags of salt, right? And a lot of people, I've heard people say, salt is salt. You know, sodium chloride, it's all the same. It is not. Colima salt is delicious, and it makes a huge difference in anything that you cook. It comes from, is that up there? It comes from an underground lagoon. So it's not only seawater that comes into this lagoon, but water that comes down from the mountains and brings minerals with it. And it flavors this water that they draw from the lagoon, and then they dry the salt, and then they rake it off dehydrating tables, and they produce sal de Colima. It's full of trace minerals, and it's different. It's really different. You can cook a steak and sprinkle Colima salt on it. You can make pico de gallo, tomatoes, put Colima salt on it. But I'm telling you, we can help these people with their marketing, because they sell it in these enormous bags. I mean, obviously Mexicans have not mastered the concept of weight limits for airplane passengers. I mean, we can only take 50 pounds on our suitcases, right? Once in a while, you'll see these little bags about this big of Colima salt in the tianguis, but for the most part, you can I've only seen the bigger ones. And the best we can do really is buy a larger one and share it with somebody or leave part of it behind. But it is different, and it is really, really tasty. It makes a big difference. Okay, moving on here. I got a couple more pages. Let's talk about soup. Soup or caldo. Is it sopa? Or, I'm sorry, these are supposed to be animated. Norm, push them again. Sopa or caldo, which is a broth. One more, Norm. Or, one more crunch, please. One more press. Guisado. So, sopa is usually a thicker soup. It has pasta or rice, or in this case, this is sopa de tortilla, which is a very popular soup, and you all should know it. It's really good. It has avocados and cilantro, very fresh, and they include fried tortilla strips in there. It's delicious. The other one on the lower left is caldo, which caldo is broth-based. So typically a chicken broth, and you'll get a chicken leg in there, and you'll get some big pieces of corn or carrots or things. That's called a caldo. And then guisado is a much thicker kind of stew. Okay, Norm, take it away. We all should know this soup. Everybody know pozole? Anybody not know pozole? I guess that's a word. Pozole is the soup that satisfies. It is traditional soup of Jalisco. And it's really, really good. It's either chicken or pork, based to pre-Hispanic time. Again, it's made with this lye-washed corn, except this time they don't grind it. It's a great big kernels of corn like that, and real meaty and good to sink your teeth in. You can get either pork or chicken, and you'll get a big platter with radishes and avocado sauce, lime wedges, of course, cilantro, and you put that on top of the pozole. Okay, Norm? Here's what Tom and I think is the best pozole in Malaki, in the area. This is Taqueria Palmar. It's a little restaurant down in West Malaki on the main street there with the island in the middle. And okay, I'll grant it doesn't look like much, but first of all, the woman that runs it, she's an amazing gardener. You're going to see beautiful plants. The whole place is covered in plants. And she makes pozole, among other things. Palmar is the Mexican word for palm grove. A grove of palms is called palmar. And what do we know about it? E-R-I-A, taqueria. I don't know why it's spelled with Q but not a C, but it's a place where you get tacos. Palmar. Norm, please. Let's advance. Okay, let's read her sign. What does her sign say? Rico pozole. She's selling rico pozole. Rich. It's very rich, because it has all this meat in it. It's delicious. You can get either pork, or chicken, pollo. She also sells taco dorados, and I don't see taco dorados in most restaurants, other taquerias. It's a fried crispy taco with typically corn in it and potatoes. Tacos dorados have potatoes in them, and they're good. And then the usual. The other thing is, she's advertising here is music with Sanchez. Sanchez is a local musician. He plays the guitar. You see him all over town. And Sanchez and friends, right? On Monday evenings at 6 o'clock. And they have a big round table in there. Sanchez sits on one end, plays guitar. And then each person that comes as a musician, they pull up at the table, and they each have a different instrument, different music, and they go around the round table. They usually play until about 9 o'clock. And the issue is, if you go at 6 o'clock on Monday nights, yeah, they'll be playing, but you might not get a table. The place is packed. But it's also a tribute to the wonderful food they serve. Okay. What? Oh yeah, it's cheap. A big appeal for my husband. The food is cheap. So it's not an expensive place to eat at all. Okay, albondigas. I personally love this soup. Question is it a caldo or a sopa? I don't know. But it's a broth. I think a chicken broth. And these are meatballs that are made with ground beef. And they are so good. And the only place I've ever seen this in our town is here at Loncheria Felix. And this is her little restaurant. That's her in the apron there. She's right next to the arches. She, for years, was across the street by the discotheque, but they tore that down last year. So now she's had to move over. You're gonna walk in there and you're gonna say, MaryAnn, you know, really, it's not a fancy place, but it's clean, and she has very authentic Mexican food. Let's look at her sign, which is a little fuzzy. Loncheria. What is loncha? Means lunch. It is not a taqueria. They don't sell tacos. They don't sell tostadas. They sell lunch in here. That's a distinction about a luncheria. She sells chilaquiles. She sells guisado, stew, right? She'll have a guisado of the day, some kind of soup or stew. Tortas and huevos as you like them, al gusto. And she's a good woman. She is not a rich woman. She does her best in this place, but she's also a very good cook. She's really a good cook, and you get very authentic Mexican food here. Okay, more flavors so we can get confused. Plátano is a banana, an eating banana, but sometimes we see these great big gigantic plantain. Those are also called plátanos macho, you know, and they're really heavy, but they're starchy. And you cut them, slice them, or cut circles, you fry them in butter, and you put brown sugar and sour cream on them. They're really good, really, really good. Next, please. This is a tomatillo. It is not a green tomato. It's in the nightshade family, but it is not a tomato. It has this husk around it. You take it off, you boil it with cilantro and onion, and it is always sort of the basis for chili verde. It's what makes chili verde green. We have a lot of Hispanic people in Iowa. We have a big population of Mexicans. And we have a lot of food trucks and food wagons, food restaurants. A lot of times you'll see a name like Taco de Familia Ramirez. This is the family Ramirez's taco truck. Or Tacos de Gloria. Gloria has a taco shop. Or Tacos de Tres Mujeres, 3 women. Taco shop. Okay, next slide, Norm. If you see this, Tacos de Cabeza, this is not a family name. Cabeza, cabeza is a word for head. And the tacos that are served here are going to have meat that's made by roasting a cow's head and then cutting it off. And there is a taco stand by the bus depot that says Tacos de Cabeza. And I'm here to tell you, they're just disgusting. But some people like them or they wouldn't sell them, right? Anyway, they roast the whole head and they take primarily the cheek meat off, well, they skin it, obviously, and then they roast the head. Okay, and they make things like taco de cabeza, that's the meat from the skull. Then they crack it open and, I know, this is too much information. It's a cow's head, okay? Tacos de lengua, that's the tongue. I know Tom's mom on the farm used to make tongue every Sunday for a Sunday dinner. It's like, I've never touched my mouth, I'll tell you that. Tacos de ojos, eyeballs. Tacos de seso. Seso is the brain. And I've heard that they scoop that out and it's very creamy and kind of buttery. I wouldn't know firsthand. And then tacos de criadillas, which are the testicles. We call them Rocky Mountain oysters in the United States, but I don't know, they're not for me. We raised 2 boys from Malaki from the time they were 13. They came to live with us. They're now 27 and 32. They still live right nearby. And on the weekends, I would make eggs with chorizo, right? But gradually it got too hot. I just couldn't eat it. So one day in the grocery store, I thought, I'm going to see if I can tell. Does it say cayenne pepper or does it say chilies in this package of chorizo that was manufactured in Chicago? And I looked at the ingredients list. The second thing on the ingredients list in this chorizo was beef eyeballs. And I never touched the stuff again, and I also didn't tell our Mexican boys that it was full of eyeballs. But, I mean, it speaks to the Mexicans' philosophy, waste not, want not. They don't waste anything, right? Okay, let's finally, mole. We're finally at our final topic here, mole. Mole is not this. The word mole simply means sauce, sauce. And I see you all going to your Google Translate, oh no, I know what mole means. Mole just means sauce, and it's a sauce that's typically made out of ground nuts and ground fruits and chili peppers, spices. There are dozens and dozens of different kinds of moles. It's a regional crop. And, okay, Norm, let's surprise us and see what's next. The mole that is made with chocolate that most of us think of as mole, but it's just one kind of mole, can either be called mole negro or it could be mole poblano. And that's the one everybody knows. It originated over in the state of Pueblo, they think, a long time ago. Many people considered mole as a national dish of Mexico, and I'll grant you it's good, but it's chocolatey and it's sweet. There are lots of other kinds. This restaurant, back up, Letes, is over on the highway. And as you're going out of town and you turn right to go into Barra Navidad, right on your left, sitting coming down in there because they raised the highway up, is Letty's restaurant. And every day she has chicken with mole. And it's the chocolatey kind if you want to try it, if you've never had it. She has it on her menu. It's very good. The kitchen is clean. It's all screened in. She has screens over the doors and the windows. Anybody ever eaten at Letty's? It's really good, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I think it's good. Alex is kind of like, that's because you're married to a very good cook. Yeah. Alex's wife is a fabulous cook. Okay, so keep Letty's in mind if you're looking for some mole. Okay, one more thing. Here's another mole that I personally like. It's called pipián. It's made with pumpkin seed, but can also be made with other seeds like sesame seeds. You can get this at Felix's. I think she has it on Fridays. It's really good. It'll have chicken in it. I like it. Problem is sometimes it's just too spicy for me. She pumps in the pica too much for me. But pipián, you know who you see there all the time? You guys know Christian from Fair Latte? Yeah, he eats there like 3 times a week, I think, and he's always there for when she has chicken pipián. It's delicious. Okay, we're almost done. Some things that you might want to know about, I don't know. Grasshoppers are eaten in Oaxaca. I've never seen them around here. Anybody seen grasshoppers for sale? I haven't. They supposedly taste like potato chips. We have a lot of little specialty startups in Iowa that are growing crickets and grasshoppers because it's a good protein source. And when we got all these cows polluting the environment with methane and eating too much water and corn and stuff, they're looking to insects for supplementing protein in many people's diets. Not for everybody. Okay. So many topics that we didn't cover. Birria, barbacoa, menudo, cow stomach, chilies, tuba, that's a honey drink, rice and beans, we never even talked about it. Napoles, that's cactus. So, you see, that's a sign you're getting old. I couldn't come up with the word cactus. And so much more. And you probably each have a story. One more slide. Here's some I can suggest. Do you ever just get so tired of eating Mexican food while you're down here? You want to see one more taco, you don't want one more burrito, nothing. I can recommend pollo milanese. Milanese is just how the meat is cut. It means thin, very thin cut. And it's nothing but a chicken cutlet. They dip it in egg and breadcrumbs and they fry it. It's really good if you just don't want to see another taco. So, okay, are we done? I can't remember. All right, I want to end on a sort of philosophical note. What's the first thing many people ask when you say you're coming to Mexico? Oh, are you afraid? Is it dangerous down there? Oh, we're constantly having to defend Mexico, right? Well, a phrase that I have used many times is, no matter where we travel, we have to be careful but not afraid. And I like this poem. It says, I've seen flowers come in stony places and kind things done by men with ugly faces, and the gold cup won by the worst horse at the races, so I trust too. And Mexicans are good people. One year we rode motorcycles from El Paso, Texas, down to Chihuahua, and then up to Cuauhtémoc, and then up to Creel, where we wanted to put them on the train to go down through the Copper Canyon to the west coast. But when we got up to Creel, there was no ramp or anything to get up into the baggage car. And I'm telling you, out of nowhere, we were with 2 other friends and motorcycles. These men showed up with just a plank, but not a very wide plank. And the men, these Mexican men, they took those big heavy bikes and they just rolled them right up that plank and put them right in that baggage car. We don't know where they came from. They didn't stay around to anything, but they helped us. And I'm telling you, Mexicans appreciate help. They give it and they appreciate it receiving it, because most Mexicans have spent a whole lifetime making something out of nothing. They have to try. You see a lot of wealthy Mexicans in these tourist towns like us, but I'm telling you, you go back into the villages here, even across the highway to Jalisco, there is real poverty there. And this church is trying to offset that. We are trying to help those in need. And the money that you give tonight goes straight to these packages of food, baby diapers. Our intent is to help those in need. So please give generously when you walk out. We all need help at different times. And finally, que le vaya bien, amigos. I love this expression, and you'll hear it all the time once you learn to listen for it. Sometimes they abbreviate it, vaya bien. It quite literally means that it goes well for you. May it go well. Que, that, you, te, vaya, to go, bien, well, que te vaya bien. And I think it's such a nice expression. And once you start to hear it, you will always, you'll notice it. They say it to each other, and it's a nice thing for you to say to Mexicans. So thank you. It was a pleasure talking with you. It was an honor getting to speak to you. Thank you so much. And amigos, que te vaya bien.
Thank you, MaryAnn. If anybody has any questions, MaryAnn would be more than happy to follow back here.
Thanks so much, great talk. On your talk about the Colima sea salt, I agree, it's really fantastic.
Colima.
And I found at the little shops that sell it on the main drag across from the Telsauer.
Across from where?
The Telsel.
Oh, yeah.
They have the 3 kilogram bags. They also have some 1 kilogram bags.
Yeah, the little ones.
They're the size. And in the Sandy's store, back in the part where they sell the bulk beans and everything, they also sell small bags of salt.
The Colima salt?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good to know. Thank you. Anybody else? Any favorite restaurants that we didn't hit? Share what you know.
Sure. First thing I'll share is that all bodegas can be had at Ayala's. They have it as a special.
Okay.
And then I didn't catch the restaurant at the mole
That's
the pumpkin mole.
the mole poblano is Letes up on the highway.
And the other one?
As you're going toward, past the turnoff to Barra is right here.
I know
And on
Letes.
the other side is Letes.
How about the other one?
What other one?
Where Christian always goes.
Oh, that's Felix's, and she's right by the arches. And it's just a little dumpy restaurant, but she has albondigas and she has pipián, mole pipián. Okay, anybody else? Here's your chance. Plug your friends that have a restaurant or, yeah?
Could you just repeat the bodega near the Telesel that sells the small?
Oh.
Could you say where that is again, please?
Well, actually, most of the grocery stores, I find, they put the bag into small plastic bags for you. So El Parata, just from Taco Valley there, Parasani's, which is right on the main drag. Those are 2 places that I find it. Just ask at the grocery store, and they're selling it for
It's a
people to take
Colima
home.
salt, and you're still ending up buying a big bag and splitting it, so. But, hi.
I'd like to know if anybody knows a restaurant that serves food yet other than the place in the old market.
Birria. That birria is from Ayutla, which is a town up in the mountains. Yeah. Does anybody have a favorite birria restaurant? We're looking for a birria restaurants other than the Ayutla birria in the market. Oh, Robert says there's one in Ciudadlan.
De las 12.
Monday?
De las 12.
Thank you. Dave. Oh, he's been there. Old news. Yeah. The thing about birria is I'm not crazy about eating baby goats, you know. But a lot of birria is made with beef. So it's good to ask if you might have some. Okay, Claire, what else?
A question on the Palomar restaurant. Do they have pozole every day?
No, they don't. Tom, what days do they have pozole? Always on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, they got the round table on Mondays and they have pozole then. And taco dorados every day, if you like potatoes in your tacos. I do. Okay, ¿qué más, amigos? My Spanish is just so consistently terrible. Alex is very fluent. Okay, until next week.
Thank you.